I needed to expose myself to many things, many skills, many things, and then because I just don't know which one, which skill or which job might actually end up being something I would actually like in future. A few people just really understand the challenges migrant face and why most people will actually go to school with a degree and not get a job as a migrant. And then they told me that, look, if you haven't got Australian experience, if you haven't got that local experience, so there's a chance that you might find it challenging to land a job.
Welcome to Empowered Voices Amplified, a podcast brought to you by Skilled Migrant Professionals magazine. My guest today is Banji Alo, and he's the Data Information Systems Manager at Queensland Health. And it's important to say at this point that the views expressed on his social media and in this podcast are his. He's also the author of 2 best-selling books, Before Graduation Day and The Migrant Career Guide. In 2020, Banji received the Distinguished Talent Award from the Australian government. And outside of routine work, as I mentioned before, he loves to provide actionable career advice to migrants and data analytics professionals. Welcome to the show, Banji.
Thanks for having me, Emma.
Sure. We're talking before about the Distinguished Talent Award. I haven't heard of that before. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Oh, okay. So that award is just it was launched in 2019, I believe, 2019, 2020, by the Australian government. So I believe it's just another pathway for migrants or temporary residents to actually get a permanent residency in Australia. So if you get awarded that visa, you have the same right as those that actually got the 189, the skilled visa, the 189 and the 190, or any other permanent skilled visa. So yeah, so I applied back in 2020, early 2020, and yeah, I got it in 2020 as well. So it just lets you live and work and study and be here, permanently. That's all it does. Yeah.
That's good to know. I was not aware of it at all. And I always say I learn something new with every conversation that I have with different people here. So tell me something, have you always known, because you speak a lot about data analysts and you give
Yeah.
a lot of advice around that. Have you always known that you wanted to be a data analyst?
That's a very good question, Emma. So the answer is not really. Okay. And not really, honestly. While I was young in my early years in the 20s especially. So I believe that that I needed to expose myself to many things, many skills, many things, and then because I just don't know which one, which skill or which job might actually end up being something I would actually like in future. So as a young person in those early years, so I had a lot of interest and I would actually tend to pursue a lot of things. So for example, if someone asked me, can you build a website? Even though I haven't got that knowledge, I wouldn't say no. I would actually say yes. And then what I would then do is to go on YouTube or, any other resources or even my friends and then go have a chat and see how I can get it done. Okay. So by doing that, I'm not only actually getting the job done, but I'm also building my skills and, my career and my life in the process. So I would say if you're a young person, if anyone approaches you and say, look, can you use Canva? Can you do this? Can you do that? Even if you haven't got any idea how to do it, if you know it's possible, if you believe it's possible, don't say no. Say yes and go just find resources or talk to people that will actually help you get it done. So by doing that, you would really, really help yourself, help your skills, and build your portfolio of work. So in those early years, I tried many different things, and one of those things was actually data analysis as well. Analysis by using all these tools, this R, Python, yeah, SQL tools and what have you. So and then I think that that really took off while I was at UQ. I was at UQ at the time. I was enrolled for a master's of public health. So usually in between our terms or semesters or even lectures, I would actually go into UQ library, for example, and just go find anything new to learn. Okay. And then, I would just, I'll just go there and find if there was anything I could learn. So I came across that UQ library website, where they had listed a lot of sessions for free. If you're a staff or if you're a UQ, if you're in UQ, you're studying, you can just register for them for free and actually just pop in and sit as if you were in class. But it's just very informal. Yeah, so I did attend a few sessions on different subjects, but mostly around data analysis. So because someone told me it was a nice skill to have, so I thought, okay, I'm just gonna go have a look and see what's there. But anyway, so I would actually attend a lot of sessions on how to use different tools. In fact, there was one particular session or class on Python and R, just the basics, just the introduction. So I actually kept that going back week in, week out. I think I attended that class like 6, 7 times, just one class, 6, 7 times. And the reason why I actually kept going, was not just because I just wanted to go, obviously, but because I really didn't understand, anything yet. So I thought, okay, instead of just going once or twice and then saying, look, this isn't for me, I actually kept going because I felt that if I attended a lot more, I'll probably understand, what it is that they're actually talking about and how that tool can actually help me in my work. But anyway, so it turns out that after a while, I knew it. So I became a friend to the person that actually lectured us, that taught us how to use that tool. And then I grew, we're friends. And then occasionally I would actually even wait after the class just to ask him more questions because there wasn't that much time within the class to actually talk a lot. So I'll actually wait and just really ask him more questions. So he would actually answer my questions. And then in the end, I was able to actually understand how to use that tool. Okay, so I did understand how to use that tool, and then after I was actually able to learn that tool, while I was also at UQ, I got an internship. It was unpaid though. Yeah, so I got an internship because although it wasn't paid, I thought, look, I'm just going to do it anyway. And the reason why I actually went out for that particular internship was because so when I arrived in Australia, so I spoke to a few people just to really understand the challenges migrant face and why most people will actually go to school with a degree and not get a job, okay, as a migrant. And then they told me that, look, if you haven't got Australian experience, if you haven't got that local experience, so there's a chance that you might find it challenging to land a job. So I thought, okay, instead of waiting until I finished my degree, so how about I find an internship? And then that would actually expose me and I can then write something really useful on my resume. Okay. And then use that to then get a job after I finish my degree. So for me, it wasn't just because I really just wanted that internship. So it was more to actually apply to, some of the skills that I've been learning in class and in some of these extra trainings that I've been taking. So I really wanted to actually apply them somewhere and really just to understand it a lot more. And then, so I did that. So it actually worked out well for me. And again, and the reason why I also did that also is because, nowadays, I think most young people think, look, if I go to school, then after my degree, I should get a job. But sadly, that doesn't really happen again these days. Yeah. Back then, in those days, our parents, they didn't have this issue because school wasn't as, I mean, as as it is now. It's but now almost everyone around you, almost everyone that you can actually think of is actually has actually gone to school. So that means there's more competition in society, and that means employers have to they have to do a lot just to find people, and so it's a lot more more challenging now, I would say. So that was why I actually really wanted that internship because that would actually sort of expose me to what I needed to actually get a job. So anyway, so after that internship as well, I was then able to land a job. And this, in fact, I actually landed two jobs and without applying online. And without applying online, again, if you're a migrant, especially if you're new in this kind of society, you want to not do what most people are doing. So not because they don't work, but chances are you are going to be in a lot of competition with with other people. So let's take for example, if you asked an average person that look, I'm trying to get a job, where should I go and apply for a job? Most people tell you, okay, go to Seek or Indeed. So it's not that they're bad, but if but for you as a migrant, you haven't got that level of experience, exposure, that kind of what employers really want. You're just going to be putting yourself in a lot of in a tight corner. So because so that same job you want, other people want it. So and these other people, they're permanent residents, they're Australian citizens. They've worked in big companies, and so you're just going to end up getting tons and tons of rejections. So anyway, so instead of going via that route of applying to jobs via Seek and Indeed. I mean, I did try, but they just weren't working. So I resorted to actually using LinkedIn, to actually to finding people that actually have my ideal jobs, as well as those that actually had, managers in those kind of jobs. But so I did reach out to a few of them, and interestingly, I got really good feedback, and one of them actually asked me to come on site for a chat. Yeah, so I did, and then that chat, as it sounded, actually it turned out to be an interview, a job interview. I entered this room and there were like actually four people actually in the room. It was like minimum. I said sit down, and they started asking me questions. And I said, oh, okay, this is actually an interview. So, but in the end, yeah, it actually worked out well because so that chat lasted 30 minutes. So they also asked me about how much I wanted, and I just right then I just said, look, just yeah, I mean, I didn't say it, but instead of me, I said, look, just give me a job. Yeah, so I just mentioned, I think I just mentioned one arbitrary, yeah, figure. So in the end, it actually worked out well. So I was able to get a job as a data analyst, and then if I look back now and say, have I really wanted to be a data analyst? Maybe not. So I think it's a mix of chance, interest, and curiosity. Actually led me into one thing or the other because these were the same software or tools that I actually used at that UK library by just attending fun trainings. And then I'm actually using it at work where someone is actually paying me for it. Yeah, so I would say so. It's and some people think it's actually my passion. It's not my passion in any way. I don't believe in passion a lot. Yeah, they can be, but yeah, my passion is where there are job opportunities. So my passion is money. Okay, so if you're a young person or a migrant, don't try to ask yourself what's your passion. Just try to just try to look ask yourself, what are you interested in? What makes you very curious, and try to pursue some of those interests outside of your uni or college, and then because you just never know where those things will lead. Okay, so again, there's no passion. So I believe that if you spend a long time exposing yourself to a skill, a tool, a software, or a craft, so after a long time, you start becoming more comfortable with it. And then I think most people say it takes about 10,000 hours to actually become very comfortable on something. Yeah. So if you spend a lot of time on learning something, either a tool or anything, or a craft or a job, you would actually become very comfortable with it, such that most people would think that that was your passion, but that wasn't your passion. You just had a lot of interest, and then you spent so much time, every day reading and studying and really asking questions. So I think that's it. So it wasn't. I didn't really say, yeah, I'm just going to be a data analyst. So it was just more about getting interest in something and then building it on top of that. Yeah, from there.
That's interesting. We've got such different stories. I literally mapped out my career path. Like, this is what I want. I wanted to do marketing. And it's something I've known since I think I was 18 that I wanted to be a marketer. So that's interesting. But I love the advice that you've given on, careers and being curious. I think curiosity is so important for
Yeah,
anyone, really. Be curious to learn new things. And the we had Krish recently on our podcast who was talking about how, like you've said, you're competing against a lot of people in the Australian job market. What can you do that's different? And his advice was, record yourself on YouTube and share these private links with potential employers, just doing that extra and different thing.
yeah,
I absolutely love it.
yeah.
The other thing that I want to highlight for any new migrants listening to this podcast is when you're invited for a chat, please know it's an interview.
Yeah. A
Please
potential
know
interview.
it's an
Yeah,
interview. It's potentially an interview. I've had a lot of invitations to chats that have ended up being interviews.
that's good.
Now, Banji, you are the author of two best-selling books, Before Graduation Day and The Migrant's Career Guide. What motivated you to write these books?
That's a very good question. I don't think I officially said I actually wanted to write a book, or formally actually said I wanted to write a book. In fact, when I was, I mean, in those days, I didn't enjoy writing very much. Yeah, I just didn't enjoy writing long pieces. I didn't at all. It was just very boring for me to just be in front of a computer and just type your thought on paper. But so I think what actually happened was that back in 2019, 2020, I believe. So I read this book about how to interview yeah, for a job. So it was online. I read it. It was about 100 pages. It was fun, and then I actually learned really good lessons from that book. And then I said, okay, maybe I should read another book on career development. And then I did. I got another book. Went to the library or online on Amazon. I picked up another book and read it. Okay, I said, oh, this is actually fun. I said, okay, maybe let me get another book on this subject. But anyway, so I did. So I found myself reading books upon books on that particular subject, on how to
Mm,
interview, how to write really good resume, cover letter, how to look for work, how to outsmart others. So I started reading, a lot of books, and then after a while, I kept offering advice for free. My friends would just, call me, call me on any day and say, look, by the way, I've got this interview happening next week, and I'm just going to prepare. And then I would actually found myself offering them free advice even without them asking, because I'd been reading a lot of books, and I knew one thing or the other. I said, oh, I think you should do that. Oh, I think you should do. I think this is going to help you.
mm.
And then they would actually come after the interview and say, guess what? I actually got a job, and your advice really helped me.
Wow.
Okay, yeah, yeah, and then I would have a chat to someone else, and the exact same thing will happen. And then I would talk, and I would talk to someone else again. They would say, "Yeah, that advice really helped them." I said, "Oh, okay." And while doing this, I was still reading all sort of books on on career development. Yeah, and then I thought, okay, given that I've got some bit of knowledge, and this knowledge seems to be helping people somehow,
Mm.
maybe I should write a book. That was in 2020. That was in 2020, and so interesting. I tried, and that was when that was where when we had COVID, and there were
Ah,
a lot of lockdown and what have you. So I had a lot of time, in my hands. So I did try, but I started. I think I was only able to write about 5 pages. Yeah, 5 pages, and it was just very very stressful for me. I was like, why is it so hard? To actually just sit down and write a book. Then I said, you know what? I'm just not going to write this book. I'm just going to drop it. I'm just going to drop it and maybe and really see what's next. But anyway, so I kept reading books on the side, and I actually kept offering advice to all my friends, and yeah, just anyone that actually approached me. And then so instead, I thought, okay, well, how about I actually start writing on LinkedIn or and Medium, and open on and on my website as well. So maybe let me just start writing very short articles,
Mm.
500 words, 1,000 words on a particular thing. And then so I started doing that. I did that the first month. It was fine. I would write and publish one
Mm.
article every week, 500 words, 1,000 words, just on that subject. So I'll read a book. I'll then summarize what I learned and then use that to actually educate someone else. So I did this nonstop for minimum 6 months, nonstop. And
Wow.
then and then nonstop. I said, okay, this is actually becoming fun. And then by then I had tons of articles, like I had tons of drafts, even on my PC that I haven't published because I just kept writing almost every day. So by then I thought, okay, maybe I'm actually just gonna go back. That book that I said I tried to write, that very first book, I said I tried to write back in 2020, that didn't work out. So maybe I'm actually just gonna go back now and try to write it. And then I picked it up, and interestingly, I finished it in 3 months.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, so something I couldn't finish and that was in 2023. So something that I tried to start in 2020, but I couldn't. But then in 2023, I made up my mind, and in another 3 months, I finished it. So and then I realized my mistake back then was that one, I just can't go from level one or level zero to level 1,000. So me that I actually haven't written a 500 word article before, a 1,000 word article, then I actually just want to write a book. That's too big. So instead, somehow, I mean, I didn't actually set it out that way, but somehow because I'd been publishing short blog posts, LinkedIn posts, articles, newsletters. So that process actually it taught me that habit to actually write to so that process actually taught me the habit of writing, which I didn't have in the past. Okay, so because I was able to do that over a period of time, nonstop. So I was actually then able to sit down and write that book in 3 months. Yeah, so I think, and this is an advice I will actually give to anyone. If you say you want to write a book and you've not written anything anywhere anywhere before on the internet, your chances are 99% you will fail. Yeah, you fail because you haven't got that reason why. So your why isn't really established yet. And secondly, you don't have that habit yet. So you need to form a writing habit to actually be able to write a book. And thirdly, you haven't really established a process or systems in place. So there are no systems in place. So you don't have where you actually regularly publish. So essentially you're not ready. So instead, what you can do instead is to even though you want to write a book, don't start with a book. Start with blog posts. Writing on LinkedIn, blog posts, a 500 word article, 1,000 words article. So do that at least once a week or once in 2 weeks. Just maintain a consistent schedule for a period of time. That's going to actually help you get ready, get your mindset ready. And then once you do that for a period of time, it's going to be easy for you to then write a book because you will really understand how to write. Because again, most people, I thought I could actually write, but then after writing a series of articles and blog posts, I realized actually my writing sucks. Yeah, and then I told myself, thank God I actually didn't write a book in the past because I'd have just written all sorts and people might not really like it. So I think so. The process as well actually teaches you how to write because you might think that you actually know how to do it, but you really don't know how to do it. You can't say you can do something. It's people on the other side that will say, okay, I think Emma is good with marketing. Yeah, or Emma is good with this. Emma is good with with this subject. It's not you that will say that. So until those things begin to happen, you're not really ready. So you need the public, the internet, to actually give you the feedback. And the other benefit of actually writing as well on the internet is that you make internet friends as well because you have people like your friends. So you actually have people reading your work and actually sending you emails. Say, by the way, I read this; it was really cool. Oh, I thank you very much. You get those emails and feedback and comments, and then you also sort of begin to understand, what resonates a lot more with people, and that would actually help you know exactly what to write on.
Mm.
Yeah. So I think that that process really really helped me, and then before you know it, I was able to write that book in 3 months. I think I picked it up again in November 2022 or December 2022, and then I finished in February, and then I published it in March. And then once I did that, I told myself, okay, now I'm actually just going to write another book. And then I started another book in April, just 1 month after that first one. And then I finished it in August, September. I published it in November. So barely like 6 months after. So instead of, yeah, so you can see how that habit, how those initial
Yeah.
lessons and habit can actually sort of help you get really like way, way better. So, but then
Mm.
if you skip that initial habit process, you won't really do anything. Yeah. So
Wow.
yeah. So to answer your question again, so what really actually made me write that book is because I wanted to one, so document uh, my journey for the future me, and secondly, given that I was already offering some sort of advice here and there with friends and with friends and with people on the internet, so I thought, okay, it would be nice to actually combine all this thought into just a book that people can actually just buy and read and actually learn something. So instead of me, so instead of someone new sort of ringing me and say, "Oh, hi Banji, can we chat or chat for an hour there?" But I just say, "Look, I think you should have a look at that book, and if you've got any questions." After reading that book, then we can chat because it's not very convenient for me to be talking to every single person for an hour. I just there, and it happens every now and then. So I just say, okay, get my book, read it. If you've got any questions, so chances are they will get 95% of the answers in that book. And most times they actually don't even call me by say, oh, I think I was able to get most of everything I needed from your book. So thank you very much. So it's also to actually help other people. So those the new migrants and those coming, yeah, new migrants and those in school as well. Just so anyone really trying to sort of understand what to do with their career.
Yeah. I absolutely love that. Can you, we've spoken about curiosity and learning something until you're really good at it. And now I'm picking up perseverance and discipline. Those two are very
Yeah,
important, aren't
yeah,
they? Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
And so,
yeah. That's yeah. Those are very important as well.
throughout your journey, you've obviously gone through a lot to this point. Can you provide insights into building a successful career, including job search, networking, and skill development as a migrant?
It's a very big question, and we could spend another 2 days talking about it. Yeah, and we could spend another here 2 days talking. That's yeah, that's a whole session. But anyway, I'll try to just maybe limit it to a few things, and
Yeah,
then for anyone that's really interested to actually learn more, they can just get my book, which was what I was actually talking about. Instead of spending 2 hours
perfect.
talking about it, just mention a few dot points, and if you want more, you should probably just get that. But
Get the book.
just get it. So I think as a migrant, okay, I think you really need to know what you want. Okay, first, it is very important for you to know what you want. Yeah, I know. Yeah, you've been doing some work, from back home and what have you, but you actually realize that once you actually get into Australia, as an example, you have to redefine yourself, like your life, your career, and really ask yourself those questions. That look, why am I here? What do I really want? You know, out of this. So I think once you actually have a chat to yourself and really understand what you want, then you can start looking for what you want. But yeah, so it's knowing what you really want and who you are and why you're actually here and why you're where you are at the moment. And then after then you should start looking for what you want. So even before then, I would say, look, a few things first. As a migrant, I would say you should be aware of advice, advice from migrants, from tons of migrants. So I'm not saying most people aren't good or most people don't can actually advise you properly, but most people don't offer very good advice when it comes to your career, because everyone has got an opinion. Everyone, oh, I think you should just go to school and do nursing. I think you should just go to school and do social. So everyone has got an opinion. So you could actually go out one day and get advice and actually have five different people telling you five different things. So in the end, you're just going to be very, very confused because you really don't know what you want. So I'll say, less of waiting on people to tell you what to do and actually asking yourself what you really want to do. And and then no matter what happens, just make sure you hold your ground. Okay, just hold your ground, because if you're not if you're the kind of person whose mind is always here and there, you most likely won't like it, because you'll be wasting a lot of time and resources, and you won't really be very happy. So yeah, so I'll say, so understand who you are, know what you want, and ignore all the noise in the society. So, for example, most migrants that come into this country can get really good jobs. These are the kind of jobs migrant can do. This is what most people do. That's a lie. Yeah, so it's possible for you to get any job you want if you're ready to actually persevere and be disciplined and put in the work to actually get those jobs. So, for example, I came into this country, for example, in 2016. I was at UQ. I was at UQ studying public health. And then my mates, like migrants, would actually tell me how, look, I think you need to change your course if you want to find a job in Australia and if you want to live here forever. Otherwise, if you just keep doing this course you're doing, public health isn't it doesn't really sell. And if you just keep doing what you're doing now, you're just going to waste your tuition fees and not get any job, and you might even go back home. And then most people will just say, look, just change your course to maybe nursing or social work, or IT, or for example. So I'm not saying those advice they're bad, but I'm just saying sometimes if you really know what you want, and if that's what you want, there is no need for you to change your mind. Okay, there's no need for you to really change your mind. So in the end, I said, look, I'm just going to do what I really want to do. After all, it's my money, it's my life, it's my career. I'm just going to do, yeah,
That's true.
do what I really wanted to do. And then even if it happens that I don't really, I'm not saying I even want to stay here. I haven't come here to stay. I've come here to study. Okay. I've come here to stay. If I can't find a job, or find work, or find a life here, chances are there will be other places, other countries, or even back home that will actually recognize and actually value the skills that I've developed. So it's not about me conforming to society. It is the society actually accepting what I've got to offer. So they're two different things. So some migrants tend to actually conform to what the society offers. So, for example, you say, okay, it's not possible for you to get a job in your field, and you just have to do these casual jobs for the rest of your life. Yeah, that's not true. So so what you probably need to do is just to redefine what you want, and not necessarily conforming to society, and instead, let the environment really, really tell you that, look, I know exactly who you are, and I know exactly what you can do, and yes, we're ready to accept you. Yeah, so I would say don't really yeah, you don't have to listen to anyone. If you want something, you it's possible for you to get it. Okay, and then yeah. So I think that's it. So there's a lot to actually unpack there, but yeah, I'm cautious that this might actually run into a really big lecture.
But
Yeah.
this it's so important, and you're absolutely right on the advice. I always do say, and to our listeners as well, that when you want advice in a certain place, go to people that actually know what they're talking about. And when I moved to Australia about 8 years ago, I was advised that people that look like me cannot be in marketing, and it was best that I changed my career path and do social work or something else. But I'm a marketer. That's who I am, and that's what I love. It's what I love, not who I am, obviously. But it's you're absolutely right on. You have to know what you want,
Yeah,
and you
yeah,
have to
yeah.
stand firm and say, you know what, this is what I want. I am going to make it work.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm,
And then, like I actually mentioned earlier, that if you want if you want what most people don't have, then you have to be ready to do what most people don't do. And that was actually what informed my decision while I was at UQ, to actually explore a lot, by taking all sort of trainings and see how that's going to help me, and also actually taking internships, because most people don't do that. Most people
yeah,
don't do that. So
yeah,
I knew exactly that in order for me to get some sort of unfair advantage, I've got to put in some more time and effort that most people don't. And then in the end, even if I sort of I can't find something within Australia, those skills they'll be relevant somewhere else. So I'm just going to go and live my life. It's my life, yeah. So I think, yeah, it's my life. Look, I think the other factor as well that keep uh, some people back is that fear. Yeah, they're just very scared that, look, what if this doesn't work out? What if I do this and it doesn't work out? I mean, no one knows whether anything new is going to work out or not. But you don't invest in something because you want it to fail. You invest in it. You have that mindset. And be ready to actually invest more time and effort and resources for you to actually get something out of it. So you should put in more effort if you want what most people don't have.
mm. I love that. Put more effort if you want what most people don't have. It's great advice. And
Yeah.
where can our listeners buy your books and connect with you? What are the best channels?
Yeah. So if you have a look at my website, banjialo.com, you'll find my books there. And yeah, if you've got any questions, you can reach out to me via LinkedIn, or via my website. Yeah, as well. I'm always hanging out online.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Banji, for joining me on Empowered Voices Amplified. And to our listeners, I hope that you have learned a lot from this. It's great for people that are looking for jobs, people that want to define their careers, and people that, are just curious about how to navigate the job market. I think there are some really brilliant tips in here. So thank you so much for sharing your wisdom, Banji. And if you're out there, you've got questions, you're wondering, okay, that sounds fantastic. How can I know more? Buy a book. Buy books. It's got 2 books. Buy a book and educate yourself. And if you've got more questions, do reach out. Thank you once again for tuning in to an episode of Empowered Voices Amplified. We will catch you next time.